What's up YouTube, it's Ryan from AnnihilatorMTG here, and I'm back again with some more Modern. This week I'm going to be playing a deck that historically has been hated to a degree that few Magic decks ever have. As you might have guessed, the deck in question is Tron. As the meta has been solidifying, I've been seeing more and more Tron lists popping up, so I figured I'd try it out for old time's sake. There are a few different Tron variants you could play. The three that come to mind are Eldrazi, Wishboard, and your classic mono-green Tron. We'll be going with the classic build for a couple of reasons. Number one, Modern is expensive and I already have the classic variant, and number two, my best friend used to playtest the classic build against me when the SCG Open Series was alive and well, so I'm somewhat used to the deck. Tron has been a staple of the Modern format forever, but for those of you who are unaware, we're trying to assemble the three Urza lands, and when those are on board at the same time, we can accrue a ridiculous amount of mana. This usually manifests itself on turns 3, 4, and beyond. From there, we can leverage a myriad of high CMC threats like Wurmcoil Engine, Karn Liberated, Ugin the Spirit Dragon, and Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Any one of these cards is enough to dominate a game, and if you can manage to land more than one, your opponent will be conceding before you know it. Interestingly enough, the thing that drew me to this list isn't the explosive top end that you've come to expect, rather the control elements that supplement those cards and subsequently buy us a tremendous amount of time. When you're playing cards like Relic of Progenitus, Warping Wail, and Oblivion Stone in the main board, it becomes very difficult for our opponents to either leverage their combo or fill their board with creatures. Once we have that breathing room, landing a threat that is powerful enough to end the game becomes a trivial matter. I truly believe that given the correct set of circumstances, Tron might just be one of the most powerful decks you could choose to play. With that in mind, let's not waste any time here and head straight into the first match. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand seems good enough. They're playing a Lurrus deck anyways, so I'm not sure we want to mulligan too much. First things first, we'll jam a power plant, then cast a sphere. They play and crack a Bloodstained Mire, finding an untapped Blood Crypt. There's an Inquisition, no doubt taking the Scrying. Yes, indeed. We draw an Expedition map. Let's crack the sphere, drawing a tower. Excellent. We'll play it, followed up by the second sphere, and just for the sake of churning through the most cards, we'll crack this one too, getting a relic, and finally casting the map. Up next, they play and crack a Foothills, finding a Stomping Ground. Then they cast Wrenn and 6, upticking to get their fetch back, drawing a Wurmcoil. That'll be good, but not right now. So we'll crack the map and grab a mine. With Tron online, we can cast the relic and tap it immediately. And while we could cash it in with the remaining mana, I think we're just gonna stay patient. They replay their fetch, cracking it for a basic mountain. Then they cast a Pyrite Spellbomb, upticking to get their land back, and casting a Tarmogoyf. With Relic on the board, this is incredibly manageable. We draw Scrying, so let's play a basic forest, then cast Ugin. The spell resolves, then we'll downtick to exile both their Tarmogoyf and Planeswalker. Before their next turn, we'll activate the relic, exiling their Inquisition. Alright, let's see what they got. They play a basic swamp and cast an Unholy Heat without Delirium. That's not gonna do much. Then they crack the Spellbomb. That leaves Ugin at 1. Wow, and they even cast a second Unholy Heat. I'll take a 3 for 1 any day of the week. Technically 5 for 1 if we count the last turn. Ooh, and the hits keep coming. Karn is very nice. Before we worry about that, let's cast the Scrying, finding a Sanctum, which we'll play right away. That'll leave us with exactly 7 mana, so let's cast our Karn, triggering the Sanctum in the process. We could just grab another Wurmcoil, which might be better, but with that said, Ulamog is far too tempting to pass up on. Either way, let's downtick Karn, exiling their Blood Crypt. Then we'll tap the relic and send it back. Keeping things interesting as they play a Saga, followed by a Shadow Spear, then a Wrenn and 6, downticking to hit our Karn. Alright, that's fine. Drawing a tower, we'll play it, and then they just scoop it up. Nice. This matchup should be relatively straightforward. We'll cut the Warping Wails and a single copy of Walking Ballista. That way we can bring in the 3 Veil of Summers. Yep, looks good to me. We've got another solid hand for sure, definitely keeping this. They lead off with a Blood Crypt into a Ragavan, followed by a Bauble, which they crack immediately. That is quite the strong start. We draw another Ancient Stirrings. Let's jam our power plant, then cast the Star, and so long as we hit something off the Stirrings, everything should be fine. Up next, they play a DRC, followed by a basic Swamp, then they cast an Inquisition, binning a land. Redundancy is going to be a huge advantage here. They take the relic, then attack us for 2, bringing our life total down to 18, drawing a Blast Zone. Let's crack the Star, seeing a Veil, time for the Stirrings. This might be wrong, but I think we'll take the Sphere. With that in hand, we'll play a tower, then cast it. Hopefully the second Stirrings will find us the third piece piece we need. Not wasting any time as they swing in immediately, exiling an Ugin. That might actually be a good thing. After damage, they play an Urza Saga, then they cast a copy of Tarmogoyf, and that appears to be it. We draw a Star, let's cash in our Sphere, hitting another copy of Veil, then cast Ancient Stirrings. Alright, there's a third piece, a little late, but we still have a chance. Let's play it, then we'll cast Chromatic Star, and now all we gotta do is survive. They uptick their Saga, then swing in with a team, taking us down to 9 and exiling a Sphere. Unfortunately, that gives them another artifact, and it looks like they see that as well. Jamming another fetch, and then they pass. Continuing to draw mana, let's cast a Wurmcoil Engine. Now if we're lucky, this, along with the next one, will be enough to deter them. On our end step, they crack their fetch for an Overgrown Tomb, that way they can activate the Saga without wasting any tokens. Then they do it again, finding a Shadow Spear and playing a Forest. They equip a Construct and attack us with both that creature and their DRC. Seems like an easy block to me. We gain some life and get 2 Worm tokens. After combat, they cast a Thoughtseize. In response, we'll cash in our Star, drawing another Mine. Let's cast a Veil. We're absolutely drowning in mana. Once their Thoughtseize fizzles, they crack a treasure token and the Sphere. Here comes another DRC. 3 mines in a row? Seriously? That's kind of annoying. Either way, I think it's time to leverage our Blast Zone. That handles pretty much everything. With that taken care of, let's play one of our 3 extra mines and cast another Wurmcoil Engine. This might be wrong, but we'll also attack with our Death Touch token. They of course won't block, taking them down to 19. Up next, they add their companion to hand, then play and crack a Verdant Catacombs, finding a stomping ground. No attacks, as we draw a map, might as well play it, then we'll crack it for a basic forest, playing it immediately. Might as well attack with the Death Touch token again. They're at 15. Ooh, during our end step, they cast an Unholy Heat. That's one way of dealing with Wurmcoil Engine. This is what makes Wurmcoil so annoying though. Even with a super clutch bit of removal, it just doesn't matter. As expected, they lead off with their Luris, which they use to get back a DRC. During their end step, we'll get real aggressive and just cycle our Veil of Summer, hitting another Wurmcoil. Excellent. Wow, and we even get a Relic too. We'll cast it, then crack it immediately, hitting another Veil. This shrinks both their DRC and Tarmogoyf. Let's play a land, then we'll swing in with a team. Before damage, they bolt a lifelink token, taking them down to 6 and bringing our life total up to 14. This second Wurmcoil Engine should be enough, but they're quite dedicated, I must admit. With that said, they cast a Renin 6 and scoop it up. GG's opponent. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand looks pretty great. We'll get things rolling with a Power Plant into a Chromatic Star. With a double Ancient Stirrings, we're in a fantastic position. They play an Ornithopter, make that 2, then a Memnite as well. Their land for turn is a Treasure Vault. Here comes a Springleaf Drum, which they tap for, wouldn't you know it, another Springleaf Drum. And finally, they end it off with a Signal Pest. We draw Sylvan Scrying, let's play the Mine, then we'll crack our Chromatic Star to get some green mana, drawing a Wurmcoil Engine, then we'll cast the Scrying, finding our final Tron piece, and that'll be that. They play a basic island and swing in with a team, triggering the Signal Pest. That takes us down to 16 as we draw another Sylvan Scrying. Let's play the tower, then we'll cast both the Chromatic Sphere and a Wurmcoil Engine. We could have gone with a Walking Ballista, but getting a lifelink threat on board early is going to be huge. Up next, they play a Spire of Industry and cast another Memnite. Then they swing in with the Ornithopters and Signal Pest, none of which we can block. After damage, they add their companion to hand. We draw an Expedition map. Before anything else, let's crack the Sphere. That would be 2 maps in a row. Let's cast one of them, then crack it immediately. Finding another tower, we'll play it. So at this point, I think it's safe just to play the second map and cast a 3/3 Walking Ballista. Once it resolves, we'll activate it to take out their Signal Pest, attacking with a Wurmcoil Engine. That drains them for 6. During their main phase, they cast a free Mirror Enforcer, after which they tap a bunch of stuff and play their companion, drawing a forest. Excellent, let's play it. Then we'll cast an Ancient Stirrings, seeing a Karn, that'll do. We'll cast that right away, then downtick to exile their companion. Let's attack with our Wurmcoil Engine, draining them for 6 once again, and it seems like they've had enough. Nice. Sideboarding in this matchup seems relatively simple. We'll be cutting the relics, 2 copies of Ugin, and a single Ulamog. That way we can bring in our full play set of Nature's Claims and the 2 Dismembers. Looks good to me. Well, Well, this hand isn't going to work. Let's try it again. This is much better. We'll keep and ship the redundant Sylvan Scrying. They get things rolling with a Spire of Industry into a Signal Pest. Then they cast a Memnite. That seems like a very tame start. We draw Tower. That's quite lucky. Let's jam the Power Plant and cast a Sphere. They play an Artifact Duel and attack us for 1, bringing our life total down to 19. Drawing a map, we'll play the Tower, then crack our Sphere, hitting a Wurmcoil Engine. Let's cast the Sylvan Scrying. Sanctum is an option, but I think I prefer a basic forest. Up next, they play an Urza Saga, attacking us for 1. We're at 18. Man, did they keep a low-powered hand. We draw another map. Let's play the Mine. Then we'll cast Karn, down-ticking to exile their Urza Saga. In response, they cycle a Salamander. That's interesting. Then the ability resolves. Here comes a Treasure Vault, followed by a Thought Monitor. That card is excellent, but I'm not sure it'll be enough. Either way, they draw 2. Then they attack our Karn, taking it down to 2 loyalty. And this is the perfect scenario. To be able to downtick a Karn in the face of Affinity and not have it die, that's just incredible. Funnily enough, we do draw another one. Let's jam the Forest, then we'll uptick. Now we can play the Wurmcoil Engine, then running copies of Expedition Map, continuing to fight the good fight as they play their second Thought Monitor, followed by a Darksteel Citadel into a Mirror Enforcer, once again attacking our Karn, only to cast a very timely Galvanic Blast. Okay. Drawing another Wurmcoil Engine. Let's shift gears and just cast our Oblivion Stone. With this card on board, they won't be able to do a thing. With that in mind, let's swing in for 6. They block with a Memnite, taking our life total up to 24. Since we haven't played a land yet, let's crack our map for another tower, which we'll put on board, then send it back. They play a basic island, then attack with a team. Before damage, let's activate the O-Stone. That clears their board and gets us some tokens. After combat, they play a Memnite, then add their companion to hand. We draw a Chromatic Star. Let's play and crack it, hitting a Walking Ballista that's quite tempting. Before we consider that, we'll cast our Karn, upticking straight away, and although we probably shouldn't, let's cast the Ballista for 1. As it resolves, we'll attack with our lifelink token, draining them for 3. On our end step, they cast a Galvanic Blast on our Death Touch token. Then they untap and cast a Mirror Enforcer, attacking for 1, Karn's at 9. Ooh, and they cast a copy of Wear. In response, we'll sack our Ballista to take out their Memnite. We draw Nature's Claim, let's cast it, targeting their Enforcer. Then we uptick once again, attacking for 3. After damage, we'll cast our Wurmcoil Engine, and they scoop it up. GG's, opponent. Okay, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend. And this hand is absolutely fantastic, keeping this one every time. They get things started with a basic mountain into a Goblin Guide. Alright, this will be a challenge. Attacking is for 2 and revealing an Expedition Map. That puts us to 18. We draw the map, so let's play our tower, then cast it. On their next turn, they play another basic mountain and suspend a Rift Bolt, hitting us with their Goblin once again. That draws us a Sanctum. We're at 16. Drawing an O-Stone, so let's play our second piece, then hold up the map. During their upkeep, the Rift Bolt comes off suspend, taking us down to 13. Then they play another basic mountain and cast an Incinerator. Wow, I haven't seen this build in a while. That's gonna resolve. Then they swing in for 2, drawing us a Blast Zone. We're at 11. On their end step, let's crack the map and get a tower. We draw a star, think we'll just play the Mine, then cast it, cracking it immediately. There's a Forest. Time for an Ancient Stirrings. No dice, let's just take the Ulamog. Then we'll cast the O-Stone and the Relic, cashing that in right away, netting ourselves a Chromatic Sphere. Looks like we're gonna have to discard a Blast Zone. Now I hate to say it, but our chances of getting out of this one are slim to none. They've got too many cards in hand and too much power on board. Right on time, as they play Mountain number 4 and cast an Eidolon of all things. That's kinda strange. This might be an indicator that their hand is bad. Regardless, they swing in for 8, drawing us a Mine and taking our life total down to a crucial 3. We hit another Stirrings. Before anything else, let's crack the O-Stone. There goes their board. So now we'll play a tower and cast the Sphere, cracking it for a green and hitting a Karn. Not sure what we're looking for with this Ancient Stirrings, but let's try it. Wurmcoil Engine is pretty good, but with that in mind, we die to almost any burn spell. Let's see if they got it. They untap and cast another Eidolon, so they're either messing with us or they have absolutely nothing. Drawing another Karn, we're gonna do something really risky here. Let's cast our Ulamog, exiling an Eidolon and a Mountain. The reason for this being that a burn spell wins them the game regardless, and if we survive the next turn, we can do some really funky stuff. Finally, we'll jam our Forest and cast the Stirrings, taking the Ugin. Moment of truth, they untap and play another Mountain. We draw Sphere, let's play the Sanctum, then we'll attack with our dude, exiling 20 cards. I don't think it really matters anymore, so let's just cast the Wurmcoil Engine, followed by a Sphere. They untap yet again, jamming a Mountain, and they just scoop it up. Jeez. So in this matchup, we're going to be making a ton of cuts. Those will include both copies of Ulamog, the full playset of Karns, and our 3 relics. That way we can bring in the playset of Nature's Claims, 3 copies of Thragtusk, and 2 more Warping Wails. Looks good to me. Well, this hand isn't very good. Let's try it again. This might work. Think we'll ship a power plant. Holy cow, they went down to 4. Either way, they start things off with a basic mountain into a suspended Riftbolt, and we draw a mine. You know, I gotta say, is this just what happens when you play Tron? Because I kind of feel bad. Carrying on, we'll play a tower, then cast our sphere. Their Riftbolt comes off suspend, taking us down to 17. Then they play another mountain, drawing an Ancient Stirrings. Let's play a mine, then crack the sphere, seeing another land. Then we'll cast the Stirrings. Wurmcoil Engine seems nice. On our end step, they hit us with a lightning bolt. Then they untap and cast an Eidolon. Little late on that one, gotta be honest. We draw Chromatic Star, so let's play our final Tron piece. Then we'll cast Wurmcoil Engine, letting the extra mana fizzle as there's no point in taking damage for an egg. They play a basic mountain and nothing else. Seeing a blast zone, let's play tower number 2, then we'll attack them for 6. Before damage, they cast a Skullcrack. They're at 12 and we're at 11. After combat, we'll tap out for 10 mana, and then they just scoop it up. GG's opponent. And there you have it. Tron's reputation kinda lives up to itself in one way or another. Believe it or not, Tron was supposed to be my go-to list at my last GP, but when trying to play for a bye, I punted in hilarious fashion that immediately cost me the match. I skipped through my opponent's end step with an expedition map on board and the mana to pay for it. This was of course against an Elves player who quickly won the game thereafter. While still having time, I re-entered the following pool and got stomped in match 1 by someone playing Infect. Unless I'm mistaken, this is my first time playing the deck since. For those who are curious, I quickly threw together a blue-white control list and did decently well in the actual tournament. I know that Tron isn't everyone's cup of tea, but revisiting this deck has been somewhat therapeutic for me, so I truly appreciate your patience if you made it to this part of the video despite potentially not liking the build. Speaking of which, if you like my content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That means the world to me, so thank you. And as always, stay safe out there and have a good one.